prosecution outlined how accounting practices
fuck?
did not.
What kind of likeness is that?
If they were great artists, they'll be in a museum.
Evidence today may signal at least one.
I'm fucking fodder for cartoonists now.
It's time for another episode of Gutter Boys. Gutter Boys is a small press comics podcast about the ins, the outs, the highs, and the lows of making comics. I'm your host, JB, with my co-host, Cam. What is up, Cam?
What it do, baby?
For this episode, we are going Classico mode. It's just me and Cam on this one. We have a lot of news to cover.
A lot.
So that's mainly why we're only doing two people on this. No guests. But don't worry, next episode we're going to have a guest. And actually, that's a good segue for who that guest is going to be. It is going to be a friend of the show, Luke Schuler, Chicago-based cartoonist. He will be featured at Chicago Zine Fest this year, which, funny enough, is something that we are somehow involved in. Cam, how would you explain this?
So,
who let this happen?
Yeah, so what happened here is we are officially partnering with Chicago Zine Fest. If you recall, and you've been a longtime fan, back in 2020 probably, we partnered with Autoptic in the same way, where we got to interview Jaime Hernandez, and they used our podcast feed for, random interviews from the show. We're doing something similar there in partnership with CZF this year, but instead of them just uploading conversations from the show, we're just going to speak to 3 guests from that show, and the first one is Luke Schuler, and we had a really good conversation with Luke, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you all. And that said, CZF will take over the feed, starting with the next episode for 3 consecutive episodes. They're pretty much going to be the same in feel as our normal episodes. It's just the people we're interviewing are going to be at the show. So yeah, come out to CZF, and we look forward to working with them. But before we get there, this episode is all about San Diego Comic-Con, and we've got a fuck ton of news, so we're going to put that on the back end. Before we do, though, we got to pay the bills. If you want to go to gutterboys.top or patreon.com/gutterboys, you can throw us $5 a month or more for bonus episodes this month, July, as we're recording. Because there was 5 weeks, you all got 3 episodes over there, including the first episode of Real Boys, and I just uploaded our conversation with now Eisner winner, Caroline Cash. Congratulations, Caroline, by the way. That shit's so sick.
Yep. And then as a sneak preview for the upcoming Patreon exclusive episode, we'll be talking with Silver Sprocket's Avi and doing a rundown of their perspective on San Diego Comic-Con, their experiences, what that was all about, what it was like to watch the gold come to Silver Sprocket.
Yes. Are you watching the Olympics?
No, I am not.
Oh, you should turn it on in the background while you're working. You can just be watching some dumbass shit 24/7.
No, I'd rather just put on The Sopranos if I'm going to do that. if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, to that Korean pistol gold medal winner, call me. I would love for you to take me shooting. Maybe shoot me.
There you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will be talking more, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Indie Northern Kentucky, or Inc., is the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati area's only zine, alternative comic, and small press bookstore. Check out comics, books, and magazines from Razor Cake, Queer Kentucky, Silver Sprocket, Microcosm, and over 200 zines and comics on the consignment wall. For more information about how to sell your zines and comics available at Inc., stop by IndieNKY.com. That's Indie, the letter N, KY.com. Visit us in Bellevue, Kentucky, and read what the cool kids are reading. Underground Kingdom Comics Presents Romance is the third issue of a new anthology showcasing the UK's most exciting small press cartoonists. This 28-page A5 comic features cover art by Vincent Bell Robertson and comics by Lily Blakely, Adam Falp, and Anna Redmond, plus pinups from Kai Reynolds and Matt Greaves. Daredevils and Warriors wrote, "If you want to leave your comfort zone and are looking for thoughtful and original comics that have an edge without being edgy, then you should check out these UKC books." You can buy Underground Kingdom Comics Presents Romance now, along with the previous two issues, Horror and Crime, and Original Art, by backing our Kickstarter, which is live until Friday, March 15th. Don't be a cunt, buy a comic, innit? Hell yeah.
And now a few words from our sponsors, the Santos Sisters.
Si ocurre algún problema, no temas que enseguida las hermanas Santos aparecerán para salvar el día. Hey, son varias lanas, son dos hermanas, tan calientes que te matan con su encanto. Y los villanos, hagan lo que hagan, no son rivales para la hermana Santos. El mal con su magia, ellas detendrán. No importa el problema, en cualquier situación con ellas contarás. El crimen no tendrá donde esconderse. A plena vista solo son chicas normales. Pero cuando los problemas aparecen, son superheroínas muy sensuales. Santos, las hermanas Santos. Como ellas no hay tantos dispuestos a luchar. Santos, las hermanas Santos. Como ellas no hay tantos dispuestos a luchar.
Purchase your tracks today.
Meow. Sid the Cat magazine is out now. If you've ever been to an amazing rock and roll show and thought, I wish I could experience this moment again, but in comic form, then Sid the Cat magazine is for you. Fiercely independent show promoters Sid the Cat have joined forces with comics journalist Andrew Greenstone to bring you an ongoing publication that documents the SoCal indie rock scene. This stunning 52-page full-color magazine features comics, articles, photos, and illustrations from a rotating cast of local illustrators and writers. It's a celebration of Sid's artists and venues and supports those keeping the bleeding edge of the indie music scene alive. Our first issue covers musical artists Big Thief, Illuminati Hotties, Mike Kroll, Fucked Up, Finn Lilly, Katie Kirby, Kate LeBon, Cursive, Christian Lee Hudson, No Win, and so many more. If you are a fan of comics, indie music, zines, rock reports, or community by the way of culture, order a copy now at sidthecat.com/Sid-Zine. Again, that's sidthecat.com/Sid-Zine.
Athenium Comic Art is an original art website for some of the best cartoonists in the business. They currently represent Remy Boydell, Marie Capelle-France, Nicole Gu, Jonathan Hill, Emma Hunsinger, Casey Nowak, Micah Song, and Tilly Walden. Athenium Comic Art gives fans the opportunity to own an original piece of art from their favorite comics and support the artists that they love. In their short time in business, they've already shipped many iconic pages out to hardcore fans across the globe. Don't miss out on your chance to own a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Check out their website, atheniumcomicart.com, and type in Gutter Gang at checkout to receive free shipping on your first order. Again, the website is atheniumcomicart.com, and the code is Gutter Gang.
Morning, Gary. Morning, Marianne. Need a menu? Nah, I'll just have the usual. You sure do love your eggs and coffee, Gary. Best way to start your morning, Marianne. Well, that and an issue of Town and County. What's that? Town and County is a new comic series written and drawn by cartoonist Alex Nall. He's that guy that wrote them books about teaching and that Mr. Rogers feller. Oh, he was such a nice man. The first issue is 36 pages of black and white comic stories with beautiful color covers and features 6 stories about folks in our little township here in Illinois. Like Susie Barber, the house cleaner that uncovers her client's dirty laundry, if you know what I mean. And Stanley Pepper, that big feller that just lost his job and took to drinking every night at Bugs's Tavern. Well, ain't that something? Town and County is published by Ivy Terrace Press, headquartered in Chicago. Chicago? Who would want to live there? So dirty. Each issue comes with a copy of the Hometown Hero, our little town's newsletter, and it's only $8. $8? Where can I get it, Gary? You can order a copy of Town and County on the internet at StoreEnvy/Alex Knoll Comics. Oh, there's your breakfast, Gary. Thanks, Marianne. Nothing like a cup of coffee and a good comic book.
Rust Belt Review is a quarterly comics lit magazine featuring serialized and short-form comics from some of the most exciting cartoonists in the small press scene today. Volume 1 features work from Gutter alums M.S. Harkness, Audra Stang, and Caleb Orecchio, along with work by Andrew Greenstone, Sean Knickerbocker, and Juan Jose Fernandez. You can order your copy of Rust Belt Review today by going to rustbeltreview.org. Enter in promo code GUTTER to receive $2 off your order. Again, that website is rustbeltreview.org. Promo code GUTTER.
The Last Aviatrix is a post-nuclear adventure comic by independent, Los Angeles-based cartoonist Buster Cagle. The story follows Summer, our last aviatrix, who pilots the sole-surviving airplane, a nuclear-powered B-29, as she travels the ruined world finding ways to survive and help humanity while dealing with the imminent threat of the Atom-born, a rare breed of atomic wizards that want to see her out of the sky. Her mission becomes complicated when she accidentally picks up Henry, an Atom-born child who wields incredible power, and Clementine, a berserker on a quest for vengeance. Can our aviatrix survive this ruined and irradiated wasteland? Every issue can be read for free on bustercagle.com/comics. Paper copies can be ordered as well, but you can still read it for free. If you like wizards or warplanes, go check it out.
Now, back to our program.
And we're back. And we are going to discuss some news that that's taken place over the last couple of weeks. All right, so what's at the top of your list? I'm hearing all of this for the first time in real time.
Yeah. So if you have been paying attention, you know that I've been trying to make the show streamlined. And by streamlined, I mean I do research an hour before recording.
Yeah.
In this case, a whole day because we rescheduled. But
right.
Yeah, so I actually have this ready to go, laid out for you.
Very nice.
And I even have the articles pulled up in different tabs. This is the new Gutter Boys, folks.
Damn, okay.
So this past week, you've probably heard a lot of these stories if you're at all online with comics, but it was San Diego Comic-Con, the comic show where for some reason people still take all the time in the world at this show, or sorry, no, they take all their announcements to make in the world and just save them for this time at the show. So we have a lot of news to cover. Some of this was announced at San Diego, but some of it was not. I do want to get into the older news first, so we'll just kind of go chronologically here. Deadpool and Wolverine came out, finally. I didn't see it yet. However, I read the spoilers. It sounds like dog shit. But a few days before the film actually came out, there was a Variety article that came out that said that during test screenings of the movie, adult grown men across multiple screenings, so it's not like it was a group of one men. It happened multiple times with random men, cried when they saw certain Wolverine costumes make their on-screen debut. That's not really, I have nothing else to add to that outside of it's pathetic. Do you have anything on that?
I feel like I should just drop in the Goggins quote from Righteous Gemstones.
Which one?
I think you know which one.
You want to suck a old man's dick?
Well, that too. But I feel like Baby Billy would put it very succinctly in this case.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
All right. So, yeah, that wasn't really newsworthy, but I just thought it was so pathetic that it had to be documented for the binge listeners that come across this episode in 2 years.
And you're going to see more of that too, because as Disney continues to absorb more properties, I think the derangement of the fandom is going to get worse. So I'm not too shocked that grown men cried at a screening for a baby movie, but weirder things have happened.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So that was just a softball to get us warmed up here. Let's just go ahead and go right into fastball territory.
Yes.
And look, a lot of the times on this show, when I say peace and love, people know that peace and love is not real peace and love. But when I say peace and love here, I truly do mean this with peace and love. So in my heart, I am not dunking on anybody. Well, okay, we are dunking because I'm bringing it up,
Yeah.
but it's in good fun.
Okay.
And I truly do not mean any disrespect to this person, but they posted it, so it's fair game to comment on it. Box Brown put out a comic about his erectile dysfunction and troubles performing in the bedroom.
Yes.
Did you see this?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was
So
brave.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask you. Like, it is brave, but also and I'm very happy that he's in what do you call this? Like a strong enough person, strong enough mindset to put that out.
Sure.
Like I support that.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want in your comics. I'm not going to tell you not to do something.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things when I read it, I was like, the old Twitter meme of they couldn't waterboard this out of me. That's what I was feeling, man. Like,
Sure.
props to you and respect,
Sure.
Box. But yeah, he did it for a company called ohjoysextoy.com, which is about couples
Okay,
and,
yeah.
encourage. So it's like, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you ever, if you were to ever do, you've kind of dabbled in auto bio,
Yeah.
but would you ever do some shit like that if approached by a company?
Well, I haven't had that particular problem, so I would not be of any use to that potential employer to do that.
There you go. Yep.
I would be lying, and
Yep.
that's not nice. You don't want to lie.
Can't lie in the auto bio.
No,
That's right.
yeah, that's one of the cardinal rules.
Yeah. You know what? If I really have never wished more that we had a fucking Blue Chew advertisement still, because how fucking perfect.
This would be a
it
great, dude.
This would be just a
Yeah.
straight up tee it up.
You're missing
boom.
out. You're missing out, Blue Chew. You should have come back.
Actually, Blue Chew, hit up Box. He'll do a comic for you, and it'll
Oh,
probably fucking rock.
There you go.
Because
And
it'll
the
be
whole-
honest.
Yeah,
so,
the whole comic will just be him popping Blue Chews.
yeah. And again, like I said, I feel like my tone was genuine. No heat at all towards Box. Respect to Box. Everything you did at Retrofit. Box, I'm glad to see you're still out there working. But again, it is news, and I just thought it was interesting because it was an advertisement, but also like a very personal advertisement.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure there was some amount of embellishment on his part
Sure.
in order to, really push the crux of this story. In the same way, I mean, you got to think they're like comedians making a very good living talking about how small their dick is. So,
Yeah, definitely. Stop. What up?
well, it's just like, find your thing. And if you're going to get paid to do it, more power to you.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, did you see the Jim Lee Bluey thing? Did you
What?
get into that territory of the internet?
No. What is that? Yeah.
Do you know what Bluey is, the kids show?
Vaguely. It's a dog,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. So I'm about to send you a text right now.
Okay.
So Jim Lee, we covered it on the show. You remember his like astronomical commissions rates?
Yes.
Okay, so $20,000, right? For a character. So Jim Lee did a commission of Bluey and posted it on Facebook and wrote, 20K is 20K, hashtag if you know, you know, shrug emoji. I believe this is Bluey, but not entirely sure. Happy belated birthday, Emma. And he posted this drawing. That is literally, if you
Whoa.
Google search Bluey, it looks like he just looked at the photo. I don't think he traced it because I feel like Jim Lee you could see the pencil marks where he tried to draw it.
Yeah.
But it's literally just like the stock image of Bluey. But the fact that, now that you see this, one, what do you have to say about the drawing?
I mean, it's bad, but
Yeah.
But I'm honestly, I have to tip my hat to Jim Lee. That's
Yes.
really where I'm coming from. It's more, I mean, this is embarrassing that someone paid $20K for this. You should be in a gulag. But
Yeah.
but for Jim Lee, on Jim Lee's end, absolute pimp move. This is
Okay.
a wild flex to be like, yeah, I redrew a stock image of a character I have no understanding or information about. I just literally just Googled his name and used the first image that popped up. And I got paid $20K for it.
So that's the thing. It's like, it's such a fucking pimp move, but he's so smug about it. Like, if I'm Jim Lee, I'm not posting this because here's the thing. I put myself in the shoes of this customer. I'm wanting to fucking fight if he like flexes like this online. I'm gonna be like, motherfucker, you took my $20K and you're making a joke out of me.
20K is 20K is, I mean, blank amount is usually reserved for referencing sucking a dick.
Yeah.
So I understand how this could be interpreted as a major diss on the man that spent $20,000 on this dog shit drawing. No pun intended. But I mean, if anything, that adds more credence to him flexing.
Yeah.
Sucks for that person. I mean, honestly, they took the first hit with 20K, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest loss. and then having to see this on your feed is another hit, but not as bad as the 20K, I feel like.
Well, he's also dogging his daughter. He's like, hey, your dad's a chump. Happy birthday. So in my opinion, yes, from that, like, my personal call, it's a pimp move, but I was trying to look at it from both sides. The funniest thing about this, besides the fact that like it's such an uninspired drawing, the fact that he charged $20,000 for
it doesn't even look like a Jim Lee drawing.
Not at all.
That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If a child is watching Bluey, that puts them in the age range of like 1 to 4, 5 years old. Emma does not give a fuck or know who Jim Lee is.
Right. No, this is 100% for the dad.
The dad.
Yeah.
Like he showed, hey, Emma, look what Jim Lee drew for you. Emma just went straight to her fucking Fisher Price toy and said, cool.
Right. She turned on Fortnite and said, shut up, Dad. You're an idiot.
Yeah, so this guy deserves this because he's like so bluey pilled from not able to watch anything but YouTube with his daughter.
I mean, yes, being forced to watch children's programming for extended periods of time as a father, I'd imagine does something to the human brain.
Yeah.
Which, you could probably say the same thing about, grown men crying at a Marvel movie. It's very similar, in fact, I would say. But yeah, that's I'm more taken aback at how bad the drawing is.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, like it's a pimp move. That's where I'm going. I'm going pimp move on this. But if I paid $20,000 for this, like, man, I'm pissed the fuck off. But at the end of the day, if I have $20,000 to even risk on something like this, I guess that's a form of riches I can never wrap my head around.
Yeah, if there's literally hundreds of things I would do with 20K, and this is not one of them. But
so I hope this guy, I don't hope, but hopefully he didn't save up for this. So yeah. All right. Well, do you have anything else to say before we move on from that?
No. I was going to start reading the comments and I was like, this is also going to do just irreversible damage to me. So I'm just going to not do that. All right. Next on the list.
All right, so there was a fake news report that went out about Marvel. They were tired of people using Read Comics Online. Folks, do not go to Read Comics Online. You cannot find every comic that is ever published on that website for free. Do not go to Read Comics Online. You cannot read every new X-Men book on there instead of spending $4.99 an issue. Do not go to Read Comics
suck your
Online,
own dick.
folks.
It will make you gay.
Yeah. So, Marvel, there was a fake report that went out that was kind of true about Marvel being upset that they think the diminishing sales of some of their comics is because retailers are getting these comics a day or two early with their order. They're scanning them and someone's uploading them to free websites. And because the spoilers are out there, no one is going to buy the comics. Yeah, that's the problem, Marvel. It's not anything to do with you're not putting out that many good stories. It's just because it's getting scanned.
This is an argument that was used for years by film industry execs. It wasn't because they were dog shit at their jobs. It was because people could download it online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So it's what they wanted to do is they wanted to try to counteract this. And one thing they've thought of got misinterpreted early. I'm going to talk about the fake news article and then coming out and correcting it. The fake news that came out was that Marvel was going to stop printing the last page of the comics in the floppies, and it was going to be a QR code that you had to scan, and it would show you the last page digitally, because the monthly comic is designed.
I mean, that's
to
clearly
end on a
fake,
cliffhanger.
but I don't even have to look it up to know that that's
Marvel,
a fake thing, because that wouldn't stop people from. I don't. Yeah,
exactly. They would just screenshot it and upload that to read comics online.
You would just be pissing off the people continuing to buy your garbage.
Yes. So Marvel had to come out and say, no, we're not doing that, but we are doing something like that.
No, it's actually way dumber.
What it is. Yeah, well, I guess it's an idea.
I mean, sure.
But yeah, the X-Men editor, Tom Brevoort, came out and said that what they're planning to do is there is going to be a QR code in certain X-Men books where it entices the reader to go out and buy the physical comic, because when you scan it, you get supplemental material and in some cases extra pages. Okay. Yeah, so where are you at on that? Do you think that's a good idea? I think it's just kind of stupid dumb. Because like we just said...
Now you'll just have more content available on that website. What does that establish?
Good job, guys!
I don't understand what they think they're doing there.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, exactly. We're on the same page there. So, the fact that the, first story kind of ran wild was kind of crazy.
Then they came out and said, no, wait, it's actually much dumber than that.
So these are supposed to be in Phoenix #1, NYX #1,
real quick, what is stopping
X-Men
your
#1
consumer base, or not even your consumers? What's stopping any regular person to walk into a Books A Million or a comic shop, use the scan code, and then walk out without buying the book?
Yeah, it's kind of like when Marvel put those little peel away stickers for the and it would reveal the QR code for the digital version.
Yeah,
the kid could just
walk what does that accomplish exactly? I'd be curious to hear what their thought process was for that.
Now, if it was like something where it was a direct to consumer model mainly, that's one thing.
Right.
But these are literally you could pick them up and flip through them. They're designed to do that. So yeah, it's just kind of a stupid ass idea. So
I mean, you could do some sort of promotion where the retailer can provide you the code after you've purchased the book, right? Like that makes way more sense. And you could entice people to want that item that they only get by purchasing the book by making it into, something nostalgia brought shit, like make it look like the old X-Men superhero cards. And on the back is the QR code that you can scan and then look at all the additional content that you get, right? Like that makes way more sense than just having it in the pages of the comic that anyone can scan and walk away not buying anything. And then also have the additional collectible thing that they love playing up to because that's all they have left. Nobody's reading this for the content anymore. So I don't know. This just seems like a very silly idea that was very half-baked.
It seems like some shit that, they were just like, some guy high up came in and said, guys, you got to do something.
Probably,
I need something by Friday.
Probably.
This is
we
what
really
they came
fell
up
off from the Mad Men days where everybody drunk and smoking, and they would come up with like 30,000 ideas within 5 hours. And, and you would have like one or two pretty solid ideas from that. Yeah. And now it's just like one bad idea.
Yeah. So, good job, Marvel. You all are about to spend money on shit that is not going to make an impact at all. So
move on, please.
All right. So, Marvel. Yeah. So this is not Comic-Con related, but I saw this floating around on Twitter and thought it was kind of interesting. Marvel has dropped these new, they're not vending machines, but they're those things that you would see in the mall. They're like photo booths. So they've dropped these things called the Marvel Adventure Lab, where it's essentially a photo booth and you can get in it and put yourself in a comic. It looks like hell on earth because it just takes your photo and puts you alongside the Avengers, but it does print you a comic out and about while you're, I guess, at the mall shopping. Yeah, do you think this will make any impact or drive people to read real comics by being able to put themselves in a comic story? And you can choose from multiple stories, apparently.
Like, do I think that will translate into more comic sales?
Yeah, do you think this correlates to getting people into comics by putting yourself into a comic, or do you think it's a stupid idea?
So to answer the first question, no. It's not going to affect sales at all. You're just going to have people who are excited about the next Marvel movie or the next DC movie or whatever to go and be next to, a character that they recognize on the side of their McDonald's cup. That's really all that translates into. It's not there's no monetary gain there in terms of comic sales. Do I think it's stupid? I mean, I've heard dumber things.
Yeah.
It's like a cute idea.
There you go.
Like, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather get in the Hello Kitty booth.
Sure.
Kawaii.
Sure.
Yeah.
We need like a Sopranos Japanese photo booth where you hit a button and you can like look Italian.
Hey, are you where are you at on Drea Di Matteo? Is that, how do you say her name? Drea Di Matteo? How do you say her name? Adriana's real name.
Yeah. What about her?
Her saying that she makes her son, underage son,
oh yeah,
edit
that
her
was truly
OnlyFans
wild.
pics. Yeah, kind of broke my heart, man. It's weirdo behavior.
Well, I like to make a differentiation between the art and the artist. In this case, the art being.
Yeah, see, I don't care about that. I just mean, could you fix her, or are you just moving on?
Well, I never really. I love the character.
Okay, there you go.
I fell in love with the character.
Okay.
And also, that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, no disrespect to her. She still
Come on
looks
the pod.
good, well, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, no, that does not affect my horniness or lack thereof for the character.
All right, there you go. Hell yeah. Transitioning that, a third woman has come out against Neil Gaiman. We didn't cover this because the first two accusations were behind a paywall on a podcast, and the last time we tried
Wild.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't even look this
crazy.
up because the last time that we tried to stand up for women in comics, we got death threats. So moving on. Yeah.
You're on your own, ladies.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Sorry, the last time we tried to prop things up in this kind of nature and cover this kind of territory, yeah, things didn't work out. So, yeah, New Gutter Boys, baby. So, yeah, Neil Gaiman, you'll get your comeuppance, I'm sure, in one way or another. And maybe once it's all said and done and we can see what it looks like, we can offer some more, coverage of that. But moving on from that, let's get into San Diego Comic-Con news, okay? This is crazy to me. You know the Alex Ross series, Kingdom Come?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that are listening that don't know that series, I don't believe that there's a single one of you. But it was a hand-painted giant DC event in the mid-90s featuring like the major members of the Justice League. They, I guess it was announced before San Diego, but the trailer was debuted at San Diego. They have made a documentary called The Legend of Kingdom Come. And it is a documentary on like the making of the comic and what the comic did at DC for the time. I thought this was very strange because to my knowledge, there's never been a documentary made that like quote unquote like goes behind the scenes about the creation of a comic. But it also like for them to make something, I'm kind of just like, Kingdom Come, really? Whatever. I mean, I guess it's not my money, but where are you at on this? Like a documentary?
Yeah, I think this is smart. Is this like an official DC thing?
I don't know if it's official DC, but Alex Ross is involved. Let me look that up because there was a panel that Ross was at.
Sure. Okay, so if DC is involved, which I feel like they have to be.
Sure, yeah, because they own the rights to that shit still.
Then it's smart on their part because the only audience that's going to appeal to is the audience that really, really loves that book, which is boomers and people who fictionalize what it was like to be a boomer.
Yeah.
And that's a very particular type of audience that has expendable income.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find a way to monetize that, then yeah, go for it.
I think that it's cool. I'm going to watch it. I don't know if the thing is I don't know if it's a documentary that like somebody's going to see on a streaming service and be like, I want to watch that.
No, absolutely not. That's for a pre-existing audience. It's not meant for a broader audience. And that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you this question. It's related, but if you could have a documentary in a similar vein where it's like over a certain arc or a certain period of comics, because I do think there's something there. And I think there is a way to make that presentable on like a film festival circuit.
Well,
like if you
we talked about this. we talked about this a bit, right? Like we talked about what kind of documentary about comics would you want to see?
Yes, but this is a more, that was on the Patreon. This is a more specialized question as far as like a certain story arc or a certain book you'd want to see a documentary on, not like a moment or a person in comics.
Right.
But like, because this is about like Kingdom Come, which is like what, 4 or 6 issues. So if there was like, would you, I guess like, you know, Batman Year One, the documentary would be kind of cool because I guess you could see the ripple. That'd be an easy one to do, rather, because you could see the ripple effects of the lore of Batman.
I would just like to see Mazzucchelli talk about anything.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that really stands out to me that I would want a documentary made about. Maybe the Swamp Thing run by Alan Moore.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool to get some insight into that, not just from Moore, but the artists that worked on it. And, you know, that would be cool. But, yeah, nothing really pops to mind that makes me want to spend an hour and a half or 2 hours watching a bunch of heads talk.
All right. So any last thoughts on that?
No.
All right, so moving on, the DC Films logo got changed. I thought this was just kind of badass. I don't really give a fuck about the DC Films. I think they're not really going to go much further. I don't think they're going to be around in the next 5 years. But maybe I'll be wrong, and we'll be talking about them in 5 years. That said, they've changed the logo back to the 70s DC Bullet logo. You know, the circle one with the stars.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought this was cool. You know, when I saw this, I was like, you know, it was one of those moments where like the nostalgia in me was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite DC logo? That's my favorite DC logo.
If I had to pick, sure. I don't really care. I don't, you know, I don't know.
I don't know. I think there is like something cool about having like the mainstream thing of the top left corner box, and seeing the DC Bullet logo on comics again would be cool. This was announced for the film side of things.
Yeah.
But it would be very sick, in my opinion, if we got like the circular stamp in the top left corner of the books again.
I mean, I'll say it does look better than the redesign logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess just by proxy.
Yeah. Yeah, so nothing really there. Just, you know, people were going nuts about it, and it's just James Gunn being like, well, this was the logo when I was a kid, so, and I have the power to change it.
Epic.
You know.
Awesome sauce. 2,000
right.
points to Gryffindor. Yeah.
All right. So, while we're here just talking about film shit, Marvel revealed that Robert Downey Jr. is back as Dr. Doom.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that on Twitter, I had to take that image someone posted.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. It was funny. The funniest tweet I saw was, because if you didn't see it, folks, here's what happened. They had like 50 people dressed as Dr. Doom on the stage while like, I guess like, I don't know who it was, like the top Marvel film guys. And they were like, oh yeah, we're doing Avengers Doomsday and Dr. Doom's going to be in it. And then one of the guys steps forth that's dressed as Dr. Doom, and he pulls his hood down and he yanks the mask off, and it's Robert Downey Jr. and he's standing there with his arms out. But the funniest tweet I saw about it was like, is
it the wrestling one?
Yeah, it was the wrestling one where it was like every ex-WWE guy debuting in GCW.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As soon as their non-compete clause is up and they show up at some random indie fed. Yeah. And it was the same response. It was like the same type of response. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. Like, people went nuts, to be fair, but a lot of the discourse I'm seeing on Twitter, which is a bubble, but a lot of it is kind of like making fun of this shit. I don't know if it's going over as well as they wanted to.
Yeah,
what have you seen about it? Have you seen any discourse around it?
I mostly saw people being critical of it, being like, this is the death knell. They've run out of ideas. They've run out of actors. They cannot make new stars, so they're going back to the well.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, you can really reflect on a lot of this in wrestling terms beyond that joke.
Totally. And I think it's weird because, like, you know, and a lot of people were defending it because, like, there were some people, which I would call normal people, who these movies were made for. They were originally made for normal people who became too wrapped up in it, and something happened to their brains with these super fans. But there were people that I saw online being like, well, now, you know, Tony Stark dying means nothing. These scenes mean nothing. And then the most, like, common response I saw was like, welcome to comics. Welcome to comics.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing. That's comics. I don't think we need that in movies. What do you think about that?
You know, I don't really have much of an opinion about it other than I think it's funny. And, I don't, if anything, it is an honest reflection of modern comics in that
it's true.
There's no creativity left. in the big two, and we're just having to regurgitate the hits.
Yeah. And they can get away with it because there was like some like alternate universe where Tony Stark was Doom, of course. So they'll be able to fucking look at the source material and, you know, make it digestible for an idiot.
Well, and also the whole like alternate realities thing that the MCU has really leaned in on over the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
That has been
pretty much once RDJ left.
Right. It has been their ultimate get out of jail free card in terms of creativity.
Yeah.
Because now you're no longer tasked with this pretty difficult challenge of figuring out how you're going to make sense of this in a narrative sense. Now you can just say, "Oh, it's alternate timeline. It's just an alternate. They're just from another dimension." And now you can. I mean, and again, also perfectly reflects most modern comics now. You don't really have to be that creative about anything. Just say it was alternate timeline, or it was a wizard, or it was, just whatever. Just any kind of shorthand for lazy writing.
Yeah, they have like an escape door no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's whatever. If you're excited about it, cool. I'm sure eventually I will see that, but I'm not watching any more of this shit. I'm not going to the theater. I'm not seeking it out.
Yeah,
it's on...
I'm not. You couldn't torture me to make me pay money for any of this.
Yeah, if it's on TNT before AEW on Wednesday night, I might catch the last 5 minutes, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm over it. I'm over it, and I'm done with it. I'm not spending money on it. Y'all can fuck right off. Alrighty, so I don't think we ever reported this on the show, but Joe Q from Marvel, Joe Quesada, he left in 2023. I don't even remember why he left. I think it was just because he'd been there for almost 30 years and it was time, 20 years, whatever. But he announced at Comic-Con he is starting his own imprint under Mad Cave, and it's going to be called Amazing Comics. So pretty much what they announced was that Mad Cave is giving Joe Quesada a imprint to run, and they're going to distribute it. And it's here's what he had to say about it. Quote, Amazing Comics has been percolating in my head since 2005. I knew a day would come when I could make it a reality, but when it did, I promised myself not to rush into anything. Be patient and thoughtful, and always remember that I've been well served in my 30-plus years in comics by choosing the road less traveled, so here we are. After 2 years of quietly working, planning, and building something different from the ground up, I couldn't be happier with my new partnership with Mad Cave Studios. Not only are they dear friends, but they're world-class publishers who share the same vision for graphic storytelling that I do, and together, we've come up with an initiative that's unique and has never been attempted before. I can't wait to introduce some of the amazing characters and stories to fans around the world. So a little bit about Amazing Comics. They will be headquartered in Idaho and work with creators across the globe. And it looks like they have a European distribution set up with a company called Dupuis. And it looks like the imprint is going to launch with a book called Disciple, which is a, quote, modern take on Hamlet by co-writer and artist Quesada, co-writer Charles Dorfman, inker Wade von Grawbadger, and it, blah, 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 blah. So I guess what I'm bringing this up for is this. The book looks bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just thinking of the Norm Macdonald meme. All the stars are here.
Yeah, all the stars are here. So this is what Mad Cave centered their San Diego Comic-Con around, and Amazing Comics was announced at the show as Mad Cave's industry-shaking comics secret revealed during a panel on Saturday at the show. And yeah, so here's the thing. Joe Quesada did work at Marvel from the early 2000s until last year. He did see a lot, and to be fair, under his run, there was a lot of memorable stories created. But there was also a lot of bullshit. I'd say more bullshit than memorable stuff. Not to take away from what he's doing.
Yeah,
that's just comics.
Wasn't he responsible for that whole Spider-Man debacle?
That's what I'm saying. So, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
So, what I'm going to ask you here, I'm already putting this shit on Pack Watch. But do you think that, like, hey, this editor that did this for 20 years over here is coming here? Do you think that's a viable campaign strategy to build around for a comics company? An editor who is an artist and a writer being given an imprint?
Yeah, I mean, it is a carny move. I just don't see how that's going to translate into anything.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know.
I hate to say it, but I don't think Joe Quesada as a creator has the impact, and him as an editor, that was just a job. You know, like I don't think he's going to do anything revolutionary without a budget that Marvel has. Yeah, I hate to say it, you know, but I'm going to go ahead and put Amazing Comics on Pack Watch. It's a good thing you're in Idaho because the rent can't be high.
Well, on one hand, it's always good to have more publishers.
Yeah, but this isn't even a publisher. This is an imprint. Well, okay, yes, but he'll be able to give people jobs. Continue, sorry.
Yeah. So that part, good.
Yes.
I think that's great. In terms of the reality of sort of the state of comics in this country, outlook not so good.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wish him all the best. Joe seems like a decent guy.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what he has planned, because I feel like if they were really hyping all this up, especially with an announcement at San Diego, and then nothing comes from it, at least within the year, that is like automatically guaranteed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they have something in the chamber.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they've got somewhat of a plan. There was the series we mentioned, but it didn't move me. Respectfully, peace and love. But yes, no, I hope that, you know, for Joe's sake, I hope he can get something going. And like you said, it is good for more jobs in the industry, but I hate to say it, I'm going to go ahead and put it on Pack Watch.
Yeah. And
peace and love.
Also, we don't know what their rates are going to be like, if they're going to be competitive at all, if they are going to go the route that most modern publishers are going, which is just IP farming.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not doing IP farming, is it going to be sort of like a sort of a image type situation where the creators own everything, but they don't make anything off of the work until the costs get cleared and they make it on the back end? How does that work? So there are a lot of questions. I'd be curious to know if any of those things were addressed when they announced it. Probably not, because that stuff is pretty boring to an audience of MCU fans, to be honest. Like, you know, like why would they give a shit about that?
Yeah.
But in terms of like the context of comic industry stuff, I feel like that would be really important to talk about, especially if you're like making this huge grand announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Did they talk about anything like that? No?
Well, they just talked about the book that Joe Quesada was working on that I mentioned before.
Sure, yeah.
But that's about it. Like they were just like, here's an ash can and there's more to come.
Okay, so so no real talks about like stuff that matters. Really.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I did not see any in the 2 news articles I referenced.
Okay, so yeah, I would say that's a bad sign, just off the bat. And yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about this on the last episode on the intro, the Boom Studios acquisition from Penguin. And
yes.
I'm happy to report I have no update on that, but I do have some Boom Studios news, which, I'm not going to lie, some of it's smart. Spoiler, I'm going to put Boom over under their new responsible publishing owner that has been in the market for hundreds of years. But yeah, so Boom held a panel, of course, and it was called Boom Studios, Discover the Future First. Whatever the fuck that means. But the one thing that I really liked from their announcement was they are doing a new affordable omnibus program to celebrate their 20th anniversary. I guess next year, 2025, is 20 years of Boom Studios. And they are doing a 20 for 20 program, is what they're calling it. And it's going to be 8 to 12 issues worth of content in a $20 book, and they're doing 20 titles. Some of the participants in the program were James Tyrion James Tynion IV. Apparently he's cool with some mutual friends, so I'm going to start putting respect on his name. James Tyrion. Sorry. Cullen Bunn, John Allison, Christine Larson, Jeremy Hahn, Greg Pak, and Mark Waid are all going to have books in the program. So much like the DC stuff I was putting over on previous episodes, I think this is great because it's taking old comics that have already been paid for, reprinting them in affordable editions. Do you have anything to say for better or worse on that?
No, I mean, I feel like this is a move that makes the most sense in terms of, acquiring an entire publisher. And yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see if this is sort of a test run to see how their sales numbers are going to perform.
Yeah.
Kind of like betting on what they have in their portfolio. Was it worth whatever amount they bought for it? And if there is potential for growth there, then maybe we will see sort of a revival of Boom, more books, more creators, a total, I would imagine, rebrand in that sense of like, yeah, this is what Boom is now, and this is what we're going to be putting out. Hopefully that's what happens. If the numbers obviously don't do well, then I think your forecast of them getting shuttered pretty quickly is more than likely going to take place. But yeah.
So I'm all about, affordable comics. I think this is a great move as far as, hey, people can get a lot of story for not a lot of money. And like I said, the work's paid for. We are going to stay in Boomtown for a little bit, though, because I got a couple news items here. Also on the panel, they expressed that they renewed new IP, including Power Rangers, Dune, and The Expanse. They announced a Power Rangers crossover with Usagi Yojimbo. Nothing makes me excited like that.
No, I'm into that for sure.
Yeah. Here's what I thought was interesting, and obviously this has been around for a while, but I don't recall ever covering this on the show. I guess during the panel, they announced that they partnered with Nickelodeon for some television projects, including an animated preschool series called Hex Vets and Magic Pets, which apparently is, quote, Doc McStuffins meets Harry Potter. So it sounds like it's for babies, so maybe Jim Lee will draw it
for
$20,000. For $20,000.
Post about it, dump on you, and, cash the check,
but I didn't know Boom was involved with developing TV shows.
That was an ongoing thing that Boom had. They had their own development team with their IPs, at least the IPs that they owned outright. Most publishers do. Oni has their own branch that does that too, that deals with licensing for adaptations. It's a pretty common thing now in most comic publishers. So yeah, not too surprised by that.
But it seems like it's a project that's original. I don't think this is based off a pre-existing Boom comic. So it's almost like a branch trying to develop stories just for animation. Is that also standard now?
I'm not sure. It might very well be, and we just haven't seen any of those projects gain any momentum past development. But it makes sense, right? Because let's be real, it's a fucking dying medium. So why wouldn't you start investing in TV and movies where the real money is at?
Right. For now. All right. So keeping on with Boom. Keanu Reeves is over there. We've covered that to death on the show, which honestly, I'm kind of thinking has to do with why Boom got picked up by Penguin. They had a Berserker panel in Hall H at Comic-Con, and they gave Keanu Reeves an Inkpot Award. Now, if you're not familiar with what an Inkpot Award is, it is, according to Wikipedia, an honor bestowed annually since 1974 by Comic-Con International. At first, I was like kind of pissed because like Inkpot, the award itself, it's like a black ink bottle holding a nib, right? So you would think it's given to artists, maybe writers, because writers used to have to use ink and write things down. And I was pissed off when I read this. I was like, fucking A, man. They're giving Keanu, who just gave his likeness to a comic, like an award that's usually for comics professionals. Well, immediately kind of read further, and I found out that the Inkpot is actually given to people that are in comics, animation, sci-fi writing, and has been expanded to related areas of popular culture, which I guess was inevitable, considering what San Diego Comic-Con has turned into. So I was like, oh, that's fucking weak, whatever. But I went and looked at the previous winners of the Inkpot, and, you've got like Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, Jim Steranko, all the heavy hitters back in the 70s, and a lot of cartoonists over the years have been given them. Trina Robbins has gotten one. Chester Gould's been given one. Bob Kane got one year. But the very first year they were given out in 1974, they did give one to, it looks like, Chuck Jones, who was an animator, as well as June Foray, who is a voice actress. So it's not, who played Cinderella in the Disney movie, by the way. So it's not like this is something new where they've been given to celebrities. So I guess all that to say is I was pissed off that he got one, but I guess it's par for the course. Do you think he's deserving of it, though, for giving his likeness? Because let's be real, that's all he did.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of silly to give an award for a guy doing his job in terms of like, using your likeness and having you promote the product with your likeness on it. But, I mean, I don't know. These awards don't really have any meaning. To a certain degree, I don't. It's all pretty nebulous to me.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say this: that I'm not Keanu pilled like the internet. I'm not gonna call him daddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very.
I think he's badass in some movies. Yeah, like I like him sometimes. I don't care if he is bad. Sometimes I like his movies. I think he seems like a cool guy from what I've heard. If you believe the floating stories around about him, but he did show up at the panel and he had this to say, which I thought was really fucking funny about the future of Berserker. Volume 4 is gonna start coming out this year in August, and apparently he was involved. He sold the idea to the creative team for Volume 4 as, quote, "I've done Kung Fu in The Matrix. I've done Jiu-Jitsu in John Wick. Now I want to invent a new form of fighting for this comic."
Ooh, are we gonna revisit Gun Kata?
How the fuck are you going to invent a fighting style that's just drawing?
I mean, look,
bro? I don't.
There is a precedence for that. Gun Kata is pretty sick.
What is Gun
Kata?
Kata?
Heard of this? Oh, dude,
I don't think so. What is it?
Okay, all right. So we can,
I'm
we
looking
can
it up
get
right
into
now.
this if you want.
No, let's keep it rolling. Patreon. No, I'm just. Gun Fu. Okay.
Yeah, it's Kung Fu using guns. Like literally, that's what it is.
Yeah, this is pretty badass. Okay. But is its origins in comics?
No, I mean it's technically from a movie. There is a precedence for the term gun fu and gun kata before this movie existed, but I feel like this movie really took it in its logical conclusion, which is the film, the 2002 film Equilibrium.
Okay. I have seen that movie, actually.
And in that movie, Christian Bale, the protagonist, fights his enemies using guns and karate combined. And it's like, so imagine like the Hong Kong Kung Fu movies where they're like blocking each other's moves and it's like really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, but they're blocking their pistol hands from shooting each other.
Yeah. I did not know that. I figured that would not have developed in the movie Equilibrium. Because that was an American movie, right?
It was an American movie. And like I said, the term technically has been around, and there are examples of people using Kung Fu with firearms, but not to this degree. This is like, it's really wild. It's so funny. It almost feels like a parody, but it's not. It's like they genuinely thought that this was going to reinvent action movies. Back in 2002. And obviously that was not the case since you don't know what it is, but
they had just been, well, I'd seen Equilibrium. I guess it didn't resonate with me. I'm guessing
it resonated with no one. That was the problem.
And I think, The Matrix had just reinvented action movies like 2 years before. They should have waited a little bit before trying to drop a new bomb on action movies.
Yeah. And there's a lot in terms of the choreography. There's a lot of similarities between Equilibrium and The Matrix for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. That's kind of what Equilibrium felt like when it came out. I was like, oh, The Matrix happened. This is just the wave of aftermath of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it again and pay attention to the choreography because I haven't seen it in probably 15 years, maybe more.
I will say you don't have to. It's it's a very bad movie.
All right, yeah. I don't remember it being good, yeah.
Maybe that's a future Real Boys. If someone wants to come on the show and
we'll talk about Equilibrium
and demand we watch Equilibrium. Then, yeah.
It'll be Blake.
Yeah, oh hell yeah. I would be down to talk about that with Blake.
Yeah, but continuing on though, they announced this is, we kind of called it, and this kind of just confirms it. They are expanding the Berserker universe, and there will be multiple creative teams and multiple books coming out of this now. And I actually saw this at the store the other day. It had Boom Studios on the spine.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves put out a new project with them called The Book of Elsewhere earlier this year, and it is just a prose novel.
Wow.
So, it really seems like I don't know if Penguin really got in bed with Boom as so much Keanu.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it wouldn't be the first time a celebrity started pumping out just weird projects just for themselves, all things considered. It's
Yeah. Announced Todd McFarlane came out and showed off action figures, so I guess they're going all in. And well, they said that they confirmed a live action movie and now an animated series coming to Netflix. So
okay. So it seems like Boom or Penguin House is kind of hedging their bets on Berserk being their biggest IP from this buyout.
yeah. So that, because I mean, like Boom, I mean, they have IP, but I can't think of another series they've had that's really hit besides that Something is Killing the Children series, which I think they've talked about being adapted for TV at some point. I don't know if it's in development hell, but I definitely haven't seen it. And if it came out, it had no impact enough for me to see it at the top of my Netflix banner or whatever. But yeah, it seems like Boom has something going with Netflix and Nickelodeon. So I think we're going to see them. I don't know. I think it's cool that they're printing the cheap comics. But yeah, I can't help but think that they bought Keanu, not Boom.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is what we said, to be fair. All right, so, keeping up with the cheap comics, DC, I talked about these before, those little DC compact comics.
Yeah, any updates on this?
They did announce a second wave finally. The books are dog shit, I'm not going to lie. As far as the titles, it was much stronger. The first wave was much stronger than the second wave, but they did announce a second wave featuring these titles. It looks like they're doing Deceased, which was the pretty much Marvel zombies in the DC universe. Kingdom Come by Alex Ross. Static Season 1, which is Static Shock. And Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. And it says there is a Superman Batman Book 1 to be announced. I don't know which iteration they're going of there. And then the star of the set, which is Batwoman Elegy by J.H. Williams.
Yeah.
Those are the titles that were announced that come out next spring. So they're still in the middle of releasing the current wave. I think those finish up in October to come out a month. But it is good that I think that they're just reprinting the stuff in affordable volumes. Kind of like, can't really say anything besides the stuff I said already about Boom, affordable comics, getting it in more hands. Well, I will say this was pretty funny. Ramon was tweeting about the compact comics, and J.H. Williams was like, because Ramon bought the All-Star Superman one that just came out. And J.H. Williams replied being like, yeah, no one wants to look at comics this small. And then he's got one coming out.
Nice.
Which he probably has no control over, at all.
Own any of that shit. So
yeah, just thought it was pretty funny that, he's like, this kind of sucks. And
also that's like statistically not true. His statement that nobody wants to read comic art that size.
Well, that was me embellishing a little, but he's just against it being printed. Is the
what did he say? What did he say
verbatim? Let me pull it up because this is
because if that is roughly what he said, that is entirely untrue.
Yeah, let me pull
based on manga sales alone. Just based on manga sales alone, that is absolutely not the case. They are fucking schooling American comics in terms of sales.
Oh yeah.
So that just doesn't hold any water. I'd be really shocked if he said something that dumb.
So Ramon had posted, the copy of All-Star Superman, and he wrote, "Wow, beautiful, wow." And then J.H. Williams said, "Too small. You have to squint to see Quitely's delicate details." And then Ramon said, "The details are even more delicate now, though." And then J.H. Williams said, "Too tiny. I like to see the details. Thanks." With
bro, get glasses, emoji. Bro. Get fucking glasses. What are you talking about?
So I don't know if my interpretation of but kind of seems that way, right?
It is 100% what he's saying. Yeah, that's wild. That is so stupid.
Yeah. So, but to be fair, I'm pretty sure he does his pages very large and his artwork is very intricate and does present better at a bigger size for him. But it seems like as
those
a reader,
books aren't for you, bro. They are not for you. You're getting paid by DC to do books for them to then sell them.
And I mean, he's had so many different editions of this stuff printed, so like if, it's a way to get people in, man.
Yeah, exactly. I understand you have your preferences about how your art is shown and presented. I get that. That's totally legitimate. But to fucking say that it's too small, you have to squint, nobody wants that, that's completely untrue.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. And I hope Marvel gets involved. They are involved in printing the old stuff from the 60s, but it's an untapped market to print some of those 80s, 90s, and 2000s stories. They should just go ahead and follow suit. And I think we will see them. If somebody like Boom is doing it, Marvel's getting right involved.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, one last thing before we go. I don't really want to get into the Eisners and like cover all the winners and everything, but I do want to congratulate Caroline Cash. Took home the Eisner for Best Series.
Limited Series.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Best Limited Series. It's good to see the home team win.
Yeah, pretty massive win, especially coming off the heels of a bunch of major W's, honestly.
Hey, Caroline told us at MS's wedding, she's getting Pimp of the Year again.
That's true, although I don't think she factored in winning an Eisner. I don't think that was something she saw coming. And yeah, that's a massive check mark, I would say. That's huge. Also, big shout out to Daniel Warren Johnson. He won 2 Eisners.
Mm-hmm. Double fisting in the pick.
Yeah, pretty wild. Best ongoing series for Transformers, and also Best Writer Artist, which I feel like is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is no disrespect to his run on Transformers, because the sales are there, it looks great, but Daniel's doing creator-owned work as well that is, like, he won for that, and if you like that shit, go check out his creator-owned stuff. It's even crazier. See what he does outside the sandbox.
Yeah. And, in terms of, like, doing another IP, it also helps the fact that Daniel is like a major Transformers head.
Yeah.
He's not just a hired hand in that sense. Like, he does have a lot of genuine love for that stuff. I personally don't care about Transformers that much. I don't know if you do. I'm assuming you don't. Yeah, okay.
No, the Beast Wars toys are cool because you can get like a monkey.
Sure, you get a monkey that shoots missiles. That's pretty tight.
Yeah, that's tight. But yeah, besides that, like the toys are cool, but I'm not going to watch that shit.
Yeah, and I admittedly have not followed the Transformers run just because I'm not going to the comic shop, and that's not really for me. But Daniel's been very, very pumped about the book for a while now. While he was working on it, I could tell it was going to be something. But that's kind of the case with everything he works on. He's got the touch.
Yeah.
So yeah, big shout out to him. And I don't know anyone else that won 2 awards this year. I think he's the only one.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see one on the list, but that's not to say that we're infallible there. And I'm not going to look at the list again because I don't care. Besides our friends that win. If you're not a friend of mine that wins, I don't care. Those awards suck unless you're my friend and win.
Honestly,
when the team wins, hell yeah, I love the Eisners.
Yeah.
Caroline Cat, the most important award in comics. When it's a bunch of motherfuckers I don't care about, shit's washed.
That's so true. That's so true. All right, and on that note, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, that was all the news I had lined up for us. A very packed episode.
Yeah, it's very funny. I didn't know anything about any of the stuff you talked about from San Diego, but I could talk to you for an hour about all the toy announcements. That's where my brain is at nowadays. So
hey, maybe on the on the Patreon.
No one wants that. Trust me.
We'll let you and Nick go wild. I'll let y'all have.
Nick was at San Diego.
The toys that made us seasons 4
That's
and 5.
right. Yeah, he was on a panel. Shout out to Nick.
Yeah, shout out Nick, listener, patron, previous guest on the main or previous guest on the premium feed.
Yeah, go check out his series Secret Compartment. Really, really great. If you like the toys that made us, he's really the guy responsible for making that show as watchable as it is, honestly.
Yeah.
And and a good dude. All right, well, yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Next week, like we said, we're going to have Luke on the show, so come back for that one. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, for part 2 of our San Diego Comic-Con coverage, join us again at patreon.com/gutterboys. We're having Avi Ehrlich from Silver Sprocket with an on-the-ground recap of the show. So if you're interested in perspective of what it was like to be there, gutterboys.top or patreon.com/gutterboys. Sometime next week, the episode will be up. So that'll be part 2 of our San Diego coverage. This was the news. That's the on-the-ground reporter version of what's going to happen.
And in terms of what was pitched to me, it seems like there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of juicy shit that you will not hear on the main feed.
There you go.
So, you got to pay to play, baby.
All right. Well, hell yeah. So thanks for sticking in with us for this Classico episode. I hope the formatting and staying on track was good for you all. And as always, stay gutter.
I'ma see it.